The first half of the 19th century, this street was literally haunted with workers who lived and worked in these houses, plaiting straw for the straw bonnet industry. The women that lived in Wellington Street were right at the bottom of the ladder, if you like, because these are the ones that plaited the straw, earned the least amount of money. We're talking pennies. And they lived in households that were almost completely female. Many were single, many had children, husbands were away at sea or dead, but the vast majority actually were unmarried and remained so. And later on, when the industry collapsed, these women were often forced into poverty, and some would earn a little bit of living knitting stockings. We're now in Main Street, and Main Street, yes, there were strawplaiters in Main Street, but also a wee bit more up the ladder, because bonnet makers also lived in Main Street, and they of course got paid a wee bit more money. At the top of the tree, if you like to think of it that way, were the manufacturers, and of course they lived in even bigger houses, because some of them made quite a bit of money out of this industry. This is the Watergate, and of course extensively demolished this area and changed, but again, hundreds and hundreds of women working in and living in this area that were working in the straw. This is Queen Street, and manufacturer David Ramsay lived in this street, as did many bonnet makers. So one or two of those that plaited straw, including some that lived in the same household as David Ramsay, you know, because obviously he had a big house with servants, but it was actually mainly the next stage of the bonnet makers and the manufacturers that lived in this street. This is St Katherine's place, and again many women lived in these houses that were plaiting straw. Households with multiple families in them, women only families, lots of children, and this part is, as you see it, you'll see old photos of this area with these same houses like this. Now we're right at the harbour front, and it's really changed a lot since the first of the 19th century, in that Kirkwall Hotel was not there. But if you look at the level of the buildings, you'll see some of the older buildings are still there, and it gives you a bit of an idea of what it was like when it was an extremely busy port. Of course, Stromness rivaled it, but here there were many women plaiting straw. Quite a few of these women were widows because their husbands had been out at sea fishermen or with the navy, and you know, that's a very dangerous occupation. Others were widows of ex-soldiers because we'd just come out of the Napoleonic Wars. Many were single, unmarried still, and were to remain so, of course, for the rest of their lives. And so these women were the main earners for their families, and the pennies that straw plaiting brought in, and it was extremely skilled work, kept these women going.